Chapter 10. Eyes Like Dark Scotchmallow Candy. I was doing my own thing, going about my business, drudging through the second half of my high school junior year, when I ran into Shame. Shame happened to be a tall, dark, breathtakingly handsome high school senior named Jay. And his kiss, my very first kiss, was, well, let me start from the beginning. If it hadn't been for the LDS Worldwide Young Adult Dance Festival, I would have never met Jay. So I can blame my mother. She was the one who wanted me to get involved. It was either that or charm school. Anything to help me improve my posture and social skills. This spectacular evening of dance was a huge event, bringing together LDS youth from all corners of the globe. Scheduled for that coming June, I was lucky to meet the age requirement. In our Hayward community, members from all 4 wards were encouraged to attend. That meant I could meet new guys, but I had one problem. I was socially inept. Although I had no trouble expressing myself at home, when I hit kindergarten, I clammed up. Unprepared for a socially stimulating environment, I became overly anxious. At school, there were too many kids. They were all staring at me. Everything was overwhelmingly loud. I had a lot to say, but just couldn't say it. How could I connect with strangers when I didn't even know how to connect with my parents in a meaningful way, who in turn didn't know how to connect with me? They saw my shyness in public as cute. Without their encouragement, I remained a painfully silent observer. Now I was in high school. Socially stifled for years, I desperately wanted to talk but didn't know how to emerge from my shell. Because I loved to dance, perhaps this worldwide festival would help me break free from my limitations and give me a chance to transform into someone more dazzling? From February through May of 1971, I would be required to attend 16 weekly rehearsals across town. I would also have to forgo my Saturday morning cartoons. My reward? The thrill of dancing in perfect synchronization with 7,000 other LDS teens at University of Utah's football stadium in Salt Lake City. I met Jay at the very first rehearsal. On a Richter scale, he was a 12. His earth-shattering looks and sex appeal activated a launch sequence in my groin. When introduced, he cocked his head and offered an infectious smile, his eyes the color of dark Scotchmallow candy, rich brown with golden specks in the center. He had broad shoulders, thick, wavy dark hair, and a waistline as lean as a cat. Was he my happily ever after? Maybe dreams really do come true. Jay Hawkins, a name I will never forget, was my first crush. He was outgoing and funny and everything I wasn't. At the rehearsals, he'd often hang on me, even when the music wasn't playing. On the inside, I wanted to curl up against his ribs and make little purring sounds. Even his body odor was intoxicating. But on the outside, I stiffened. How was I supposed to react to his overly generous public displays of affection? I don't think he knew what to do with me either. No doubt he was used to girls falling all over him. I wouldn't know how to fall over him if I tried. But dancing? That was different. I had no problem with it. Like most musicians, rhythm came easy. It was the only medium that allowed me to express myself without having to say a word. When rehearsing the waltz, every time he twirled me around to face him, my inner temptress dared me to kiss him. Like that was going to happen. I could hardly look at him without blushing. After 4 months of grueling practice, our dance team boarded the bus and headed to Salt Lake City. For early June, Utah's weather was hotter than Hades, but as I danced with my hand tucked into Jay's large palm, I felt an entirely different, exciting warmth. Before our big debut, we had one very long, last rehearsal out on the stadium lawn. Joined by young adults of every nationality, we practiced our heinies off in the warm afternoon sun. After our interminable rehearsal, drinks and sandwiches were served out on the field. My jaw dropped as Jay took my hand and led me through the labyrinth of dancers toward the refreshment table. I was completely caught off guard, unprepared to be someone's girlfriend or whatever I was. I couldn't believe he was holding my hand. As we worked our way toward the beverage kiosk, my flash-in-the-pants boyfriend turned his head, his eyes fixed on me, a bemused grin twitching on his lips. With my hand still encased in his, I felt woozy and weak in the knees. Was it Utah's high altitude that brought on this sudden dizziness? Or was it being head over heels infatuated with the young man whose hand was holding mine? Jay wasn't your average guy. He had good-natured charisma, and he looked like the kind of heartthrob you'd see on the cover of a Harlequin romance novel. I was dazed. After lunch, we trudged up what seemed like an endless number of steps to get to the top of the stadium to view it from above. Shading our eyes with our hands, we looked down on the thousands of tiny people modeling the lawn with their melange of costumes. It was an amazing sight. Then it happened. He grasped me by the shoulders, softly spun me around, and planted his lips on mine. For my very first kiss, the timing, the venue, and especially the person beside me couldn't have been more perfect if I had tried to conjure it up myself in my incredibly imaginative mind. From shallow lips to deep tongue, I had no idea how to kiss. I just went with it. I improvised. I tried to imagine myself in the movies as I breathed in his hot, musky, manly smell. With our tongues intertwined, I could hear the faint sound of laughter from dancers who were practicing their moves on the stadium lawn below. A gentle, pleasant breeze grazed our faces and combed through our hair as Utah's fiery sun slowly floated toward the horizon. Jay glanced at his watch and saw it was time to join the others. The day couldn't have been more idyllic, yet the night was far from over. The evening of our performance was magical. As the double bass punched its driving, energetic pulse beneath the stadium lights, my handsome partner and I gracefully fanned in and out and around thousands of other tango dancers, creating a spectacular kaleidoscopic aerial view. My stomach jumped into my throat each time he whirled me closer, his English leather cologne stimulating a pulse between my inner thighs. What would it be like if he whisked me down on the field and had his way with me right there in front of tens of thousands of people that packed the stadium? Clear up to our last number, I couldn't come down from my high. I didn't think I'd ever come down, and by his warm glow, I could tell Jay was far up there too. We were looking at each other differently after that. Electrically charged particles exploded in the air between us as we walked toward the bus to head back home to California. Hoots and squeals echoed through the parking lot as a mass of teens waited to board their designated buses. I basked in the crowd's riot laughter, which reflected the exuberance that was bursting within me. A gorgeous guy was holding my hand. After feeling so lonely and lost for so long, at last I felt seen. As we grazed arms, I timidly peered up at him, making sure this wasn't just some incredible dream. He was still up there, a half-foot taller, squeezing my hand, the tension crackling between us as he chewed on a stick of peppermint gum. There was no conversation, just awkward teenage emotions of wondering and hoping. With my raging hormones, I was all over the map, my mind rushing in 1,000 different directions.